Hello class, today we will do chapter number 7, the red bird tree. So let's start. So class, we will do chapter number 7, the red bird tree. Okay, what is the meaning of bird? It is written over here in the word meaning. Okay, bird means a small round parts of a plant that grow into flowers. Okay, bird is a small part of a plant that turn into flower or grow into a flower. Okay, so that bird is of red color, the red bird tree. Now class, we will read the chapter. Okay, come to page number 86. This is a story about 4 princes who want to see the red bird tree. They see the tree at different times of the year and are puzzled by how the tree looks. What lesson do the princes learn from it? Read and find out. Once upon a time, 4 young princes heard a story about a certain wonderful tree called the red bird tree. None of them had ever seen a red bird tree, and each prince wished to be the first one to see it. So there are 4 princes and they want to and they have heard a story about a red bird tree. Okay, and they all want to see that tree. Okay, and they wanted to be the first one. Okay, they wanted to be the first one to see that red bird tree. So the eldest prince asked the driver of the king's chariot to take him deep into the woods where the tree grew. So class, this is a chariot. You can see this is a chariot and the horse is tied to it. Okay. It was still early spring and the tree had no leaves nor any buds. So it was early. Which season it was? It was early spring. So during early spring, there are no leaves on the tree. Okay, nor any buds, or there were any buds. It was black and bare like a dead tree because there were no leaves and no buds. You could see the branches. The prince could not understand why it was called a red bird tree, but he asked no questions. So the prince, he was not able to understand that why it was called the most beautiful tree or the red bird tree when it is looking like a dead tree. In which season? In early spring. Okay. Sometimes later in spring, the second prince requested the king's charioteer to take him to the red bird tree. Now the second prince, he asked the king's charioteer to take him to the jungle to see the red bird tree. At this time, it was covered with bright red birds and looked very beautiful. So when the second prince went into the jungle to see the red bird tree, the tree looked beautiful. And there were many red birds in the tree and it was looking very beautiful. And when did he go? He went later in spring. He went during the spring season when the flowers bloom. Okay. Now next page. The third prince went into the woods just after spring. Now when did the third prince went into the jungle? After the spring was over. See, spring is the time when the flower blooms. Okay. Now the tree did not have any red birds and was covered with lush green leaves. Now when the third prince went into the jungle to see the red bird tree, the tree only had lush green leaves but no red buds like this. You can see the tree is lush green with leaves and there are very little red buds. Okay. He could not understand why the tree was called the red bird tree. So the third prince, as he went later after the spring was over, so he was not able to understand why this tree is called red bird tree when there are no when there are more of a green leaves and less of a red buds. Okay, but he too did not ask any question about it. Sometime before the rains, the youngest prince went to see the red bird tree. By this time, it was covered with small brown bean pods. So when the fourth prince, okay, youngest one, when the fourth prince went to see the red bird tree, at that time the tree was covered with small brown bean pods. Okay, pods means you can see over here like this. Okay, bean pod, the long narrow parts of a plant that hold the seed. So this one. Okay, these are pods. When he came back from the woods, he rushed into the garden where his brothers were playing. He exclaimed, I have seen the red bird tree. So the fourth prince, the youngest prince, when he came back from the wood, and he told his brother that he saw the red bird tree. Okay, so have I, said the eldest prince. It did not look like a tree to me, said he. It looked like a dead tree. It was black and bare. So the eldest prince, he said to the youngest prince, I have also seen that tree, and it did not look like a red bird tree. It looked like a dead tree, like it was black and bare, means there were no leaves, no bud. There were only branches. Okay. What makes you say that? Said the second prince. So second prince, this one, he say that what makes you say that? Okay, the tree has hundreds of beautiful red birds. This is why it is called the red bird tree. The third prince said, red birds, did you say? What do you say it has red birds? It is covered with green leaves. The third prince said that how can you say that tree a red bird tree when it was all covered with green leaves? Okay. The youngest prince, who had also seen the tree, laughed at his brother, saying, I have just seen that tree, and it is not like a dead tree. It has neither red birds nor green leaves on it. It is covered with small brown bean pods. So the youngest prince, the fourth prince, he laughed on his brother. Okay, he laughed at his brother, and he said that I have just seen the tree, and it is covered with small brown bean pods. So the youngest prince, he laughed at his brother and said that I have just seen the tree. It is covered with small brown bean pods. It neither has red birds nor green leaves. It doesn't look like a dead tree also. Okay, the princes wondered that maybe the red tree was indeed a magical tree. So four princes thought that maybe it is a magical tree, and appeared in different forms before different people. The king heard them and waited until they stopped talking. So the king, their father, was listening to their conversation, and he waited until they stopped talking. Then he said, my sons, all four of you have seen the same tree, but each of you saw it at a different time of the year. See, they all have seen the same tree, but in a different season. Okay. How the eldest son, he saw the redbud tree in the early spring, and the second prince, he saw it during spring season when the flower blooms. The third prince, he saw it after the spring season was over, and the fourth one, he saw the redbud tree before the rainy season. Okay, so remember that different people can look at the same thing in a different ways. So his father said to them that that different people can look at the same thing in a different ways. Then nobody is wrong and everybody may be right. Okay, and no princes are wrong. They all are right. But what they have done, they have looked red bird tree in a different season. Now class, underline the difficult words. Number 1, wonderful. Number 2, chariot. Number 3, birds. Next page. Number 4, lush. Number 5, pots. Okay. Number 6, bear. Number 7, laughed. Number 8, wondered. Number 9, magical. Number 10, appeared. So class, here are the question and answers. Okay, first question is, what had the 4 princes heard about? So what did they heard about? They heard about the redbird tree. Where did the redbird tree grow? It grew deep in the woods. Why did the youngest prince rush back to his brothers? The youngest prince rushed back to his brothers because he saw the redbird tree and it was covered with small brown bean pots. Okay. Why did the 4 princes think that the redbird tree was magical? Because all the 4 princes, they saw the redbird tree in a different form. Okay. Who helped the princes to understand why the same tree looked different to each one of them? So who was it? It was their father, the king. Okay. Hello class, I hope you have understood what I explained you today. In case of any doubts or any queries, you can mail me. Okay, take care.